There's one question most men will never ask a woman, not because it's complicated, not because it takes courage, although it does, but because no one ever told them it existed. And the men who figure it out, they're the ones she thinks about when he's not in the room. They're the ones she texts her best friend about. They're the ones who turn a regular Tuesday night conversation into something she replays for days. Today, I'm going to tell you exactly what that question is. I'm going to break it down across 3 psychological levels, and by the end of this video, you'll know not just what to say, but why it works and how to use it tonight, even if things between you and her have been cold for weeks or months or longer. But before I give it to you, I want to tell you about a man named Dave. Dave is 52, married 23 years. Good man, solid provider, shows up for his kids, does the right things, and when he sent me an email last month, he said something that stuck with me. He said, "I can't remember the last time my wife looked at me like she actually wanted me there. Not angry, not checked out, just honest." And the thing that hit me reading his message wasn't the pain in it, it was how common it is. Because Dave isn't some outlier. Dave is millions of men right now sitting across the dinner table from a woman they love, feeling like something between them quietly died and they don't know how to bring it back. What Dave didn't know, and what most men in his position don't know, is that the distance between them wasn't about attraction. It wasn't about age. It wasn't about his body or his job or what he was or wasn't doing in the bedroom. It was about one missing conversation, and that conversation operates on 3 levels. I call them body, mind, and dynamic. Level 1 is about the words that come out of your mouth. Level 2 is about what happens in her mind when you speak. Level 3 is about the energy between you, and that's where desire actually lives. Most advice channels give you level 1 and stop there. Today, we're going all 3. The question no one taught you is the one she's been waiting for. Let's start with something you probably did today. You walked through the door, or you picked up the phone, or you sat down at the table, and at some point you said some version of "how was your day?" and she gave you some version of "fine" or "busy" or "the kids were a lot," and that was the conversation. Done. Moved on to logistics. What's for dinner? Did you call the plumber? What time is the thing on Saturday? And neither of you thought twice about it because that's just what Monday looks like after 20 years. But here's what's actually happening underneath that exchange. How was your day is a closed-loop question. It asks for a report, not a reflection. And her nervous system knows the difference even if her conscious mind doesn't. When you ask something that requires a one-word answer, you're signaling obligation. You're checking a box. You're saying, "I know I'm supposed to ask this, so here it is." And she responds accordingly. She gives you the surface. She gives you the logistics, and the emotional channel between you stays exactly where it's been, dormant. The Gottman Institute has decades of research on what they call bids for connection, and what they found is that most couples don't drift apart because of some dramatic betrayal. They drift apart because the small daily bids, the tiny moments where one person reaches for the other, become so routine and so flat that they stop registering as meaningful, and the body follows. When the mind stops being stimulated in a relationship, desire doesn't just decrease, it relocates. It goes somewhere else, into her work, into her phone, into her friendships, into exhaustion, not because she doesn't love you, but because the part of her brain that connects emotional attention to physical desire hasn't been activated in months. She doesn't need more romance. She needs a man who asks questions that matter. So here's your level 1 question. It's simple, and if you use it tonight, you will notice something shift, probably within minutes. Instead of "how was your day?" try this. What was the best moment of your day and what made it feel that way? Or a version of it. What's something you felt today that surprised you? What moment today made you feel most like yourself? These aren't therapy questions. They're curiosity questions. And the difference between a flat question and a curious one is this. A flat question asks her to summarize. A curious question asks her to reflect. And when a woman reflects, she goes inward. She accesses emotion. She shares something real. And when she does that and you're actually there, actually listening, something shifts in the room. But here's the critical part. The question opens the door. The follow-up is what makes her feel seen. When she tells you about her day, don't redirect to yourself. Don't jump in with a solution. Don't say, "Oh yeah, same thing happened to me." Say, "Tell me more about that." Say, "Why do you think that moment stuck with you?" Say, "What would have made it even better?" That follow-up is where connection begins. Because what you're communicating with a follow-up question isn't just curiosity. You're communicating something most men never say out loud. I see you, not the mother, not the wife, not the manager of this household, you. And when she feels that, her body responds. Not because you did something smooth, but because her cortisol drops, her guard comes down, she softens. And that softening is the first bridge between conversation and desire. The follow-up question is where desire begins. Now, if this is already shifting how you think about conversation, hit that subscribe button because level 2 is where it gets genuinely powerful, and most channels never go there. Here's the part most coaches won't say out loud. The reason she's not opening up to you isn't because you're not asking the right questions. It's because she doesn't feel safe enough to answer them honestly. And I know that might sting. I know some of you are thinking, what do you mean she doesn't feel safe? I've never raised my voice. I've never done anything to hurt her. And I believe you. But emotional safety isn't about the absence of harm. It's about the presence of steadiness. She needs to know, not just believe, but know in her nervous system that when she tells you something real, you won't fix it, you won't dismiss it, you won't get defensive, you won't make her feelings about your ego. And if you're being honest with yourself, you know there have been moments where she started to open up and you interrupted with a solution, where she shared something vulnerable and you said, well, why didn't you just... Where she told you how she was feeling and your first response was, I didn't do anything wrong. Those moments don't seem like a big deal to you, but to her, each one is a small door closing. And after enough of them close, she stops knocking. She's not shutting you out, she's protecting herself. Learn the difference. Now here's where I want to talk directly to a specific kind of man, because I know he's watching. If you're the guy who walks into the room and the first thing out of your mouth is operational, if your conversations start with, did you handle this, and what's the plan for that, and we need to figure out the budget, I need you to hear something. You're not connecting with her. You're managing her, and she feels the difference in her bones. I know why you do it. You're competent. You're a problem solver. That's how you built your career. That's how you hold everything together, and it works in every area of your life except this one, because relationships don't run on efficiency. They run on attunement, and attunement means being tuned into her emotional frequency before you get to the logistics. So here are 3 shifts that build emotional safety, and these are things you can start today. Shift number 1. The first 10 minutes you're together after being apart, no logistics. None. Not one thing about the house, the kids, the schedule. Just presence. Just how are you, and I mean you, not the to-do list. Shift number 2. When she shares something emotional, respond with reflection instead of solutions. That sounds like it really weighed on you will always land deeper than, well, have you tried talking to your manager about it? You're not her consultant, you're her partner. Shift number 3, consistency over intensity. One small, emotionally present conversation every day will rebuild more trust than one big grand gesture once a month. Date night is fine, but it's not a substitute for daily presence. Stop managing her. Start seeing her. That's the shift. And here's why this matters at a level deeper than communication. When you give a woman consistent emotional safety, her body chemistry literally changes around you. Oxytocin, the bonding hormone, increases. Cortisol, the stress hormone, drops. She begins to associate you with calm, with openness, with warmth. And that association isn't intellectual, it's biological. It's the precondition for desire. I put together a free guide called the 7-Day Intimacy Reset for men over 40. It walks you through exactly how to build this emotional safety one day at a time, one conversation at a time, with a specific question and a specific practice for each day. The link is in the description below. Grab it now, because what I'm about to share in level 3 is going to make a lot more sense with that framework in your hands. Now, level 3, and I need you to do something for me here. I need you to stop trying to fix your relationship. I'm serious. Put that impulse down for the next few minutes and hear me out, because the men who actually rebuild desire, who go from roommates back to lovers, they're not the ones who worked harder on the relationship. They're the ones who shifted something inside themselves, and she felt it without a single word being said. Here's what I mean. There's a difference between need and desire, and most men don't realize they've been operating from need for years. When you walk into a conversation needing her to respond a certain way, needing her to validate you, needing her to laugh at your joke or show affection or meet you physically, she feels that. Women can sense when a man is trying to earn his worth instead of embodying it. And that energy, no matter how well you dress it up with the right words or the right questions, it pushes her away. Not because she's cruel, but because need creates pressure, and pressure is the opposite of the space desire requires. Masculine presence, and I want to define this carefully because it gets distorted online. Masculine presence is not about dominance. It's not about being stoic or cold or alpha. It's about being grounded in yourself. It means you're not performing. You're not auditioning for her attention. You're simply there, fully there, listening without rehearsing what you'll say next. Comfortable with silence, not rattled when she's emotional. Not rushing toward a resolution because the discomfort of sitting in the unknown makes you anxious. That steadiness, that willingness to be present without an agenda, that's what makes a woman feel safe enough to actually surrender into closeness with you. And here's the paradox that changes everything. When you stop needing her approval, she starts wanting your attention. When you're not in a hurry for her body, she naturally wants to move closer, because desire doesn't respond to pressure. Desire responds to space. The feminine opens when it feels chosen, not consumed. She doesn't want you to try harder. She wants you to be more present. So here's the level 3 version of the question, and I want you to notice how different it feels from level 1. Level 1 was, what was the best part of your day? That's a good question. It opens a door. Level 3 is a different door entirely. Level 3 sounds like this. What's something you used to love about yourself that you feel like you've lost? Or when was the last time you felt fully alive and what were you doing? Or, and this one takes real courage, is there something you want that you haven't told me because you're afraid of how I'll react? Read that room. You'll know which one fits, but do you feel the difference? Level 1 invites her to share her day. Level 3 invites her to share herself. The parts she's been keeping quiet, the dreams she stopped mentioning, the version of herself she misses. And when you ask a question like that, you're not just making conversation, you're communicating 3 things at once. 1, I'm strong enough to hear whatever you say. 2, I care about who you are, not just what you do for this family. 3, I'm not afraid of going deep. And after you ask it, here's the hardest part. You wait. You do not fill the silence. You don't explain why you're asking. You don't soften it with a joke. You let the question land. You let her sit with it. Because that silence isn't awkward. That silence is where trust gets built. That silence is you proving in real time that you can hold space without flinching. Level 1 changed your words. Level 2 changed her safety. Level 3 changes the space between you. From transactional to intimate, and desire lives in that space. The question that changes everything is the one you're strong enough to sit in silence after asking. Remember Dave, 52, married 23 years, couldn't remember the last time his wife looked at him like she actually wanted him there. Dave didn't overhaul his life. He didn't buy flowers. He didn't book a surprise vacation. He shifted one thing. He changed how he showed up in conversation. He started asking one real question a day. He followed up instead of fixing. He sat in the silence when it was uncomfortable, and he stopped managing the relationship and started being present inside it. He told me it wasn't smooth. He stumbled. Some nights the question landed flat. Some nights she looked at him funny and said, "Why are you being weird?" And he just stayed steady and said, "I'm just curious about you." 3 weeks in, his wife looked at him across the kitchen table and said 5 words he told me he hadn't heard in years. She said, "I miss talking to you." Not "I miss date nights." Not "I missed when you used to bring me flowers." "I missed talking to you." That's what this is about. That's what's underneath all of it. She doesn't want a performance. She doesn't want a project manager. She wants a man who is curious about her inner world and brave enough to hold what he finds there. And when she gets that, desire isn't something you chase. It's something that walks toward you. You don't chase desire. You create the conditions where it walks toward you. So here's what I want you to do. Not tomorrow, not next week, tonight. Pick one question from this video, just one. Ask it, then do the hardest thing. Just listen. Don't fix. Don't redirect. Don't fill the space. Just be there with whatever she gives you. And if she gives you nothing tonight, that's fine. You ask again tomorrow, because this isn't a hack. This isn't a trick. It's a way of being, and it builds over days, not minutes. I put together a free guide called the 7-Day Intimacy Reset for Men Over 40. It gives you the exact roadmap. One question, one practice, one shift per day for 7 days. Body, mind, dynamic. All 3 levels. Laid out step by step so you're not guessing. The link is in the description right now. Grab it. And if this video changed how you think about connection, even a little, subscribe. We go deeper every single week. Drop a comment below and tell me which question you're going to try. Not which one sounds good, which one feels a little uncomfortable. That's the right one. I read every single comment. The man who asks differently loves differently, and she'll feel it.